legends, where magic meets the heart. Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan got the word. In the world of EV8 we play.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Commander's Pod, episode 51. We're getting there, boys. I am your pod father, Duncan.
I am Sloan.
I'm Jeff.
And thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about maximizing card draw in every color. Going through, we know blue's good at drawing. We know that black is pretty good at drawing.
Right.
So is green.
Green's not too bad. Red and white, we got some suggestions that might help you out, and just some overall ways to use them in decks where it won't feel too overpowered. It'll feel more natural. Those type of things.
Right.
So we have both of you out in the wild this week,
Yep.
but separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't get to sit at a table together.
Yep. We got there several hours before you. You had
Some would say we didn't have to. Yeah.
well, some, but they wouldn't know us very well. So Jeff and I were there a couple hours before you. We started off. I'm trying to remember who was in our group to start off because it was
Chris. No.
Yeah, Chris was there.
Was it? Yeah, Chris and
who? We played some games with Connor. We played a game with Connor.
Oh, okay.
So that was before Chris got there. It was me, Jeff, and Connor for a game, and he was playing the Heads I Win, Tails You Lose pre-con.
Oh, that's right. We
From
played
Secret
one
Lair.
game with him, and he
Yep.
almost won.
He almost won, but I stopped him.
Oh, that was a cool game to talk about too.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about it?
Well, yeah, just because he had it locked, and I had no mana, or something shut me down. Like I couldn't get the right
You
colors.
were only getting mana.
No, I couldn't get the right colors, so I was like doing
Yeah.
nothing. And then I think it was a Saga deck, and then once he was stopped, it kind of let things reset, and then somehow I ended up pulling out the win.
Well, I had one answer, and I held it because I knew he brought out Gender Split, and that's a problem because every time he flips, he's going to draw a card if he wins.
Right.
But it's not a losing the game problem. Once Okun came out, too, then it was not only is he drawing cards, but he's doubling in power each time.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is he got very lucky with Zender Split when he was out alone, and very unlucky when it was both of them together because he
For
had
sure.
Clark's thumb by then too.
Oh, and I know what it
wow.
was. I had double blue pips and double white pips, and I only had one blue and one white source, and it just so happened that I drew every other land except for the ones to be able to play the cards I had.
Yep. And then later on, it was Connor only played the one game to kind of give us something to do till other people got there. Then Chris got there. We played a game or two with her, and then Darren jumped in after that. So then we had 4. And at some point, Chris left. And did we get in our player? Yeah, we
Yes.
did. Who was it? Oh,
Luke.
Luke, that's right. Sir Luke. And one of the things that came up, though, had to use the rule that we went over in the last episode about trample and double damage
There you go.
because Chris was like, I can't play like a long game. I got one more game, but it's got to be fast. So I pulled out Wolverine.
Okay.
Apparently, it was too fast. Jeff says I shouldn't have been able to win by turn 3.
Turn 2.
It was your
you
turn
went
2.
first.
It was your turn 2.
It was
my
everybody
turn
else's
3.
turn 2.
Well, that you should have won the roll.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, Wolverine did some stompy things. It was pretty fantastic. But it was very fair. Kill a player, round goes by. Kill another player, round goes by. At that point, you better stop me.
Yeah.
Well, and he
gave you
killed
two
me
other-
first,
He gave you
so-
2 other players to stop him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he killed me first, so they had to have an answer, and they
Well-
still couldn't come up with an answer after 2 turns. So go figure.
The one time it wasn't kill Andrew first, it was kill Jeff first.
Yeah,
So,
it was fair,
yeah,
because if you wouldn't have killed me, I probably would have done something. But
just something. But instead, you did nothing.
I did nothing. I died, and then they did nothing and died. So
What about you? How'd your games go?
We
You
did
were
pretty
playing
good.
with Andrew.
It was myself, Andrew, Bryce, and Paul, I believe is his name.
Yep.
And
Paul was a
Andrew-
very new player.
Yeah, Andrew kind of put his foot down and kind of held it there the whole night. And so part of it was I was playing Indoraptor. I was trying because I got some upgrades for him again. When I got to the shop, found some more cards to switch out. So I switched out some cards in Indoraptor, made him trying to fine tune him a little bit more still. So I played him the majority of the night. Almost all my games were with Indoraptor. And so I was playing him. Bryce switched up a couple of decks. He played an energy counter deck one time. He was playing a couple other decks. The other one was, he didn't pull out Beamtown Bullies this week.
Oh, that's good at least.
Yeah, he kept that in the case. And then Paul only has 2 decks, so he was kind of bouncing back and forth between the 2 decks.
So did you guys let Andrew win every game?
We did not. So
okay.
I was playing Indoraptor, like I said, most of the night. And so pretty much Andrew had won, I think, like 4 games in a row at that point.
Oh, my head.
And it was getting towards the end of the night. I said, okay, I'm going to pull out Prosper. I'm going to win this last game, and I'm just going to end this. And Andrew says, okay, you can try. And then I looked at Bryce. I was like, Bryce, I'm pulling out Prosper. Sorry, it's happening. He said, all right, I guess that's fine. Sure enough, I destroyed. I got my combo off, and I basically was able to exile 14 cards with that new Galvanic Storm card that I talked about. I got to cast it. I exiled 14 cards my next turn, and off to the races.
Well, good on Andrew, I guess, for winning 4. Good
Yeah.
grief.
Yeah.
You're supposed to kill him first.
This is why that's there. If
Yeah.
everybody teams up against him, that doesn't happen.
I will say this.
I mean, he
We
didn't
had
win
him-
any games when we played him, did he, Duncan?
We
No.
had him halted a couple of times in a couple of different games, but not to call anybody out, but someone got frustrated with some of the things that were happening, and so in spite, they decided to unleash Andrew a couple of times to end up winning the game. And we're like,
That's the other danger of Andrew, is falling for the silky smoothness of his voice.
Andrew didn't even have to say anything. The other player was just like, I don't
He's
like
that
the fact
good.
you guys just blew everything up. I'm gonna help Andrew out. I'm gonna take that. Like I oublieted his commander, and he was playing the red-white one that makes rebels and has haste whenever it attacks. So I oublieted it, so he couldn't get rid of it, because red-white doesn't really have a lot of enchantment removal unless you build it that way.
Well,
and so
and white has a lot, but you got to put it in.
right, exactly, and because he's all about token doublers and stuff, so we had him actually locked out of a game.
Build a well-balanced deck, please.
And but yeah, so he
Why
ended
do
up,
that when you can have others do the work for you?
It's
Well,
true.
because you lose 4 games in a row. That's why.
So, but yeah, long story short, we still had fun. I think we still had a good time, but I did pull out the last win. I didn't let Andrew go home undefeated. So
Well, that's good at least.
Yeah.
Jeff and I controlled the table. We lost 2 games. He won 3. I won 2, and those 2 games were 2 different players. So that was pretty good.
yeah, not bad.
And one of them was Luke won with his Henzi deck, and we were not playing Henzi level.
Right.
Yeah, it was level 9 versus level 7, 8.
Yeah. So that one was, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and Luke was playing with us before he jumped over to your table. I think before Chris left.
He was the
And-
5th player at yours, yeah.
Yeah, and he was playing Henzi and
Yeah,
doing
that's
the same
all
thing.
he likes to play.
Yeah,
now.
and he's doing the
he
same
did.
thing.
He did though play Tassiger for a couple games.
Okay.
Yeah, he took Tasker out to stomp us, and then I think
He didn't
Duncan,
win one
you
game.
won.
With it. Yeah, he won. I won.
and I won the game before that.
Yep.
When he was playing Henzi,
So-
because I took Selvala out. So and she's pretty gross.
We should start a tally of Commander Pod victories.
Yeah.
and just start keeping track of how many W's we can
That's
pull
probably
down.
a good way for us to stop winning. It's probably once we start doing that stuff, it's like I don't have any.
Hey,
Yeah.
all that means is we just gotta step up our game.
Yeah, because
That's
we
all
were
that
playing
means.
with Bryce, and I go, "Why do you keep destroying? I don't even have a board state." And Duncan goes, "Yeah, because he listens to the podcast." And I was like, "Oh, great."
Yep, he knows what you're holding
Yeah.
in your hand.
Well, build better decks. I don't know what to tell you.
I think I
No,
stole
it's because
one.
he's holding back. It was early game when Jeff holds backs.
Mm-hmm.
So he had his best cards in his hand, and Bryce knew it. He's like, "Yeah, I'm blowing this up." But that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you lost 4, but at least you won 1.
Well, and again, like I said, I don't mind too much because I'm still trying to fine tune my deck, and so I will say that some of the other decks were a little out of Indoraptor's league, so a
Yeah.
little of that might have contributed to it because they're a little too quick for what my deck does. But some of that also is I don't feel like I have the right cards in there yet, so we'll see. But yeah, I don't mind. Like I said, I wanted to win, so I pulled out Prosper and I won.
Right. Well, I mean, when I won with Wolverine, that was only one of my wins. I didn't win 2 because the first they complained so loudly, I put it away.
Yeah.
But anyway, so aggro Jeff, what is aggravating you this week?
So it's not the Rule 0 discussion, but it's near the Rule Zero discussion.
Well, I think it
It's
is the Rule
adjacent.
Zero discussion, but it's not about the Rule Zero
Yeah,
discussion
it's
itself.
kind of Rule Zero adjacent. And what it is one, how do you define what casual is? And then two, when you're at a shop and you have people that want to play casual and others that don't, and somehow you end up in the same game. And Rule Zero doesn't really fix that because you're like, I'm playing casual. The other person's like, casual is stupid. I only play to win. And you're like, well, I'm also playing to win, but I don't have tutors and all these combos and all this stuff. You know, do you have a less powered deck? I don't play less powered decks. It's like Rule Zero doesn't help you there. You're at a crossroads of what do you do, and it's very frustrating because you want to be able to play with people at different levels. But I ended up playing a lot of Selvala, which is a combo deck, and I would rather play more casual than that. I mean, I still did win with Selvala, but it's just not as fun to win that way. Because basically all you do is play cards to draw more cards, to look for your combo, to win out, play your whole deck, and you win. And it's boring to me.
Yeah, I mean I feel like that's always been the complaint of everybody with defining casual.
Yeah.
And that's
The problem is you can go across the country and go to all these different game stores and sit in and find out what casual is, and you're going to get a lot of different answers.
right.
Because there are casuals who think
Yeah.
Soul Ring is OP.
Yeah, or that I think when I was talking about casual, one of the guys said, I don't play a lot of counters. And I was like, I mean, I don't care if you play counters. I think you could be casual and play counters. But, you know, some people might think you can't.
Well, counters, I found out, are one of those cards that people think you should announce in Rule Zero if you're playing a lot of
Which seems wild to
it. It
me.
does. I don't. I'm like, why would I not? There's so many counters. It's not like, I mean, land destruction. There's a bunch of them, but they don't make so many that like you can't avoid them.
Yeah, I'd
spells,
say-
every set has some.
You should announce power level, land destruction, stacks, and then if you're a
Infect.
major combo deck.
Infect.
Yeah, maybe. But if you announce your commander a lot of times, you can know if it's infect. But if you're a major combo player, and what I mean by that is like your game plan to win is go get a combo and win. Like
Yeah. Like if you're gonna tutor for it.
or your deck's designed
ad
to draw
nauseam.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have officially moved Prosper out of high power casual to into CDH. I started putting tutors, and I said I'm done with this nonsense. I'm just gonna put tutors in so people don't just assume I have tutors. Now I actually do have tutors.
Right, and that's the problem. When you play him,
Yeah.
similar to when you play Urza,
Right.
you can build Urza pretty low level, you know, with artifacts nobody else would play. So you don't, yes, they get you the Urza benefit, but they don't get you a real great benefit on
Right.
top. But everybody assumes you're playing Urza, and it's
Exactly.
like they're just going to treat you like
Yeah.
that. You might as well just do it.
Right, and that's kind of what I fell into, and with the recent bans last year that we had with Dockside, Mana Crypt, and Jeweled Lotus, the previous competitive CEDH deck I had kind of fell apart, and so I've slowly been taking pieces out of that and adding it to other decks because that I no longer am using as my CDH deck, which, because it was blue, black, red, I have a lot of pieces I can put into Prosper. So that's what I've been doing. So Prosper is now officially probably a CDH.
And then this is one of the weeks. I don't think I've done it before, but I'm going to have two. What's aggravating me? The other aggravating me, and this should be a discussion again. And people, this is a hot take. And we talked about it a little bit. I really do not like seeing how much proxy people are using at the shop. When you're playing a deck in casual and you're proxying a $600 card, multiple $600 cards. Like there were times where someone was playing out like 2 or 3. Not only are they playing the dual lands that they don't own, which, by the way, you might be like, what's the big deal? Well, I'm losing 8 life to my lands, and you're losing no life to your lands. That makes a difference. So I'm seeing too many. I don't mind if you do it some, but when your whole deck is like proxy to very high power, expensive cards, I don't think that's right. I think that's in bad taste.
I disagree because I do not think it should be elitist game where only the richest people can get the best
But I
cards.
wouldn't even play those cards in every one of my decks, even when I own them, because they're too powerful. You have to have some balance. You can't put all the dual lands in your deck and put in Lion's Eye Diamond and some of the lands like Tabernacle of Pendervale. I mean, that's ridiculous.
But here's the problem. You own 2 Gaia's Cradles,
yeah,
right? So you have them in 2 decks.
yeah,
Even though one of them's going to be a proxy
Mhm.
because you're not going to play your near mint,
right,
you know. But there are other people that could never afford that.
right. So
And
I don't
never in a
mind if they
millionaires.
proxy it once, but like that's one expensive card in one deck. That deck doesn't have dual lands in it. It's like they have dual lands, Lion's Eye, Diamond. They have all of the expensive stuff. Their deck is probably worth, not really, but if the cards were real, like $10,000. And it's not playing on the same level. They've gone from it's not fair that you can pay to win to I'm going to have a $10,000 deck versus your $800 deck.
But what you have to realize is at that store, the current meta is higher powered, and they've had to do that to survive.
But just control. Don't do it. Like there's enough of us who don't play, and I still win.
You played with Luke.
Yeah.
They sat down with Luke too.
Yeah.
How are they going to compete?
Oh,
with
I
you?
played Salvala. I didn't have any.
Okay,
really
how are
expensive
they
cards.
going to
So
complete?
I think that's what Duncan's point is that you sat down at a table where someone is clearly playing a higher powered, borderline CEDH, if not actually CEDH deck, and someone who can't afford to build that kind of deck, how are they supposed to sit down and play card games?
Salvala is not an expensive deck at all, by any stretch of the imagination.
mean-
It's almost all forest. The cards that you put in the deck are not that expensive, and I beat them. And I almost won the second game too. Duncan just beat me out, which was a great play by him. But I was really in both games.
I mean, I'd be interested to see, do you have your Savala deck built on Mox right now? Because it tells you the overall value of that deck. It should at least.
I
based off
might.
of the
I don't
current
know if it's
TCG.
fully accurate.
Because
but
I
let's
will
see.
say this, because I have built, like, for example, the one deck that we kind of always talk about, my Ninja deck that I built, Yuriko. When I first built it, it was less than $100. I checked it, it's almost $600 now. And I haven't made a lot of upgrades to it. I've barely touched it. And it's just because the card value has gone up in it.
So here's what's aggravating me. So
I mean, are we all
We
doing
got
this now?
3. What's up?
so I'm trying to build zombies because I just realized I have a ton of zombie cards and I have some very, very cool zombie. So what is the value on there?
I'm trying to look to see if it's.
But I have some very cool
You can go to buy the
zombie
deck.
tokens from Magicon that are like limited edition, hand painted metal that I want to use. I want
Right.
to use those zombie tokens. So I'm going to build it. Well, because there's zombies coming out in the next set and there's a zombie precon, guess what's happened to the price of all the zombie cards?
crazy
Yeah,
expensive.
so
Like
they all shot up.
more than 100%.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
several 100% increase in price.
Well, that's what happened with, which I know this was a little while ago, but when I built my Assassin's Creed deck
Yep.
for Ezio, there was an assassin that had been out forever, was worth less than $1. As soon as that set came out, he went up to $8. And I think he peaked at 10 for like a couple weeks, and he went back down to, I think he still sits at like 5 or 6 now. But he was less than $1 before that set came out. So, you know, them creating sets that are themed does affect a lot of the cost of the cards, and sometimes your decks that you built previously, because you built them maybe before those cards were going to be popular, the price gets adjusted.
1,000, but
Yeah.
that's also counting one of my cards, which is Phyrexian Dreadnought, as very expensive and it's damaged. So you could get a
But
Phyrexian
even
Dreadnought.
with it damaged, it's not going to make that go from 1,000 to $100.
No, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about $1,000 deck versus a $10,000 deck.
Right.
But
what we're
the
trying to
people
say
we're
is-
talking about can't afford a $500 deck.
So
Right, then proxy to $1,000 deck. Be reasonable.
But
Don't go all the way to this.
But the only point I'm going to say on this, because I feel like we're going to spend too much time on this. The only point I'm going to say to this is, you sat down, or someone sat down at your table, and the casual deck you were playing before was no longer going to compete. So you pulled out Savala, which is a $1,000 deck, to
Yep.
compete with his. Which, regardless if his is $10,000 or not, they're both CDH decks. Yours is a cheaper CDH deck, but still a CDH deck
Yeah,
nonetheless.
no doubt.
Someone who can't afford any of that, in my opinion, if they had one deck, and I'm not going to talk about all their decks, but let's say they had one deck that was full of a bunch of proxies to be a CEDH deck, just so they could compete on that level, would that be more acceptable to you instead of it being?
Yeah, that would be more acceptable, but that's not what I saw. When we were playing casual, that's when I saw the Lion's Eye Diamond
Right,
with 3
which-
dual lands on the table, and I'm like, how's it? This is wild. Now
Yeah.
that person didn't win, and you go, well, we don't like pay to play. That's actually absolutely pay to play. I mean, that person had a huge advantage.
Right.
To still not win is just, I guess
Well,
I'll give you the
and
head
that's
start.
the thing too.
Like, I'll spot you 10
can
points.
win with $1,000 deck against a $10,000 deck. Some of the lesser skilled players can't. They need those cards.
Right.
So that's I'm just saying it's not.
I guess, but I still.
If you had problems winning, then I can see why you'd have a problem. But you didn't.
No, but I don't know. I don't want people to have to buy really expensive
Oh,
cards.
we
At the same
also-
time, just don't
We
you
also
don't need
played
them.
with Jordan. Jordan was the other person.
and
we played.
I like that guy a lot,
Yeah.
Jordan too.
Yep, and
I
unfortunately he
enjoyed
didn't
playing
win
with
any
that
games.
guy.
But he has some cool decks.
He had very cool decks. I mean, it was tough. He was up against ridiculousness.
Yep,
We were all playing ridiculous decks.
we were. But I do like to think that nothing more ridiculous than winning turn 3. But anyway,
Yeah, I told him I should get Rogue Rack and Arden out, and we'll both kill each other on turn 2.
Yeah, it's just a race to see who gets to roll to the win.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our counterspell segment. How do you feel about AI art? So this is kind of a two-pronged question. So first of all, let's talk about how would you feel if they came out with AI art on Magic cards? Let's say in a secret layer.
I mean, personally, it's one of those things where I think it might be better for the art, to pay an artist because that's their livelihood. But at the same time, it's hard to argue depending on how far it goes, because right now, I mean, AI is a little nuts. It's kind of everywhere. It's hard to avoid it in any way, shape, or form, I feel like. And so from a person who has a sense of morality, being I can not pay anything basically and get all this work done for free, compared to, I have to pay an artist to do it, and then we have to inspect it, then we have to go over a bunch of I feel like I don't know, it's a hard argument. I rather have someone actually doing it, just because I think that's cooler. And like you said, then you start getting artist proofs that you can go get signed by those people.
I'm not
and
going to want AI's artist.
right, because who cares? And it doesn't have an artist proof probably,
Yeah.
unless they type in the prompt to make an artist proof, but then it's not, right? It's so
Signed by ChatGPT.
yeah, exactly right. So I mean, it does take away a little bit of that, because the other thing is too about their livelihood is they sometimes go to conventions so they can sell these artist proofs and sign cards for people and do all that stuff. And that's something that I think is good for the community, because you get to interact directly with the people who are making the product that you love.
I know,
So,
I love it. So
yeah,
how do you feel, Jeff?
My opinion's pretty nuanced. I love art. I love artists. I love going to art museums anywhere I am. I'm going to find an art museum and go there, especially if I'm somewhere interesting. However, on this point, I think there's two things I would talk about. One is that if AI gets in the mix, all it should do is cause the artists to step up their game. Because now there's just extra competition there. Just make better product than what they're making, and there will be room for you in this area. It should get the art to be better. The second part of this is, when AI starts being utilized, it's going to change the marketplace. Just like when they got rid of cashiers for the automatic scan yourself kiosks. Yes, it lost one job and gained a different job, and some would argue an even higher paying job, because now someone has to design the software for that kiosk, someone has to design the product, someone has to build it, someone has to engineer it. There are manufacturing places that have to put it all together, that have to get it out of the ground. Like, all these other jobs were created. Yes, it took care of this other job. It just changed to a different one. And like you see with, like, what's it called? DeepSeek now, or DeepSeek?
Deep fake.
That came out from China, where we thought the AI required these extremely expensive NVIDIA chips. And as it turns out, someone figured out, or many someone's probably working together, figured out how to use software to take advantage of lesser chips. Therefore, before, the market was only the biggest giant corporations could create AI. And now, not the guy in his garage, but much smaller corporations can now create AI, and it's going to open up more jobs for software engineers, for people figuring out how to best use and monetize AI. So I don't think it takes people's jobs. It changes jobs, and I guess in a way it takes
But it doesn't. It takes away artist jobs. It does not create any artist jobs.
No, but it could allow the really good artists to stand out. And the artists that are just doing what AI could do, well, they're going to lose their job because AI could do what you're doing. Do something interesting. Do something. Art is supposed to have some sort of beauty and depth to it. And the artists who do that, AI is not going to be able to compete with them. And that means their product is worth more because they'll be more rare, right? Yeah, I could do AI, but if I want to do quality, I got to pay Tom Smith because his stuff is amazing, and people will buy it just because Tom Smith is amazing. So I don't think it's a problem. I hope the artists step up, and I hope they prove to Magic that they don't need AI and AI doesn't work, but let your product do that.
Here's the problem. It looks like some artists they've hired have used AI.
Yeah, that's frustrating too.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
And but Wizards is like, we didn't know. Like,
right.
We hired them to do work, and digital art is a thing, and it's hard to tell with digital art where it came from. So what about marketing? Is there a difference between using it for marketing than using it on a card?
I mean, so here's the thing. If you're having artists design the cards, then you should have material to market with. Right? It should already be there because you should be able to take away from what they're already using. What I will say is the new set coming out, Final Fantasy 1, my buddy who's a huge Final Fantasy fan, our friend Taylor, he mentioned how whoever did the promo of Sephiroth, they were looking into it and like a bunch of the details were wrong. And then there, at some point, someone said, well, it looks like it could have been AI generated. And some people were saying, no, it wasn't. It's just the artist who did it didn't really know anything about Final Fantasy. And so regardless, if there have been times where, because sometimes we use AI image creating for like characters in like D&D or something like that. There have been times where like you put in a prompt and like 1, 2, 3 are good, and then like the fourth one's like, what happened? And so
yeah, it's called a hallucination when they have like 6 fingers or whatever.
Yeah, or like one arm's like missing somehow. Like So, but yeah, I mean, like I think there is a level of, if you're using artists to begin with to create the cards, you should be able to take what they're creating to use it for marketing. And I feel like if you're going to have people doing it, make sure they're paying attention to detail, the artist that is, because if you do something wrong, like was pointed out with the Sephiroth on the Final Fantasy promo, people who are big fans find out and realize it real quick. So, I mean, if they're going to use AI and they're going to let mistakes like that slip through, if that was AI generated or not, regardless, if they're going to let mistakes like that slip through, I think that's only going to harm them.
I'm going to apply the same principle to marketing that I had before, and also say that people who used to draw on canvas and physically draw art, when being able to do it on a computer came out, some of those people lost their job because they didn't transfer over necessarily to being able to do digital art, because it's very different doing digital art than just drawing on a piece of paper. You step up your game, prove you're better than AI. It shouldn't be too hard right now, and there shouldn't be a problem. And I'm excited to see better product coming out.
Well, I mean, I would take offense if I were an artist right now. I think there's been some gorgeous art that's been coming out.
Oh, there is.
But
there's also some
of them, like
adequate.
the one that had like 2 different pieces of plagiarism in their card, and from the, was it Thunder Junction or something? There was a card where it had 2 different images that were plagiarized. Merged into one image. Yeah. And they've had some issues like that. Now there's a few of those. But otherwise, like I'd say a lot of the art, I mean, we talked about it actually many episodes ago, but the early art for Magic was not good.
No. And look, a lot of the art is really good, but some of the art probably isn't that good. And if Wizards looks at it, or Hasbro or whoever looks at it and goes, I can do this same thing for free, all you got to do is prove it just doesn't look as good. What we can do is better. And I believe that. I believe the artists are better than AI. So, don't shoot yourself in the foot and use AI, because you're just encouraging them to cut you out.
And Sloan, the thing I would say to you about that Sephiroth card is that is an interpretation. That's an artist's interpretation. Some people really liked the Marvel art. It was okay. Like the Marvel
I
Secret
loved
Lair.
the Marvel.
So,
I thought it was okay. It wasn't the Wolverine I was looking for.
So, to counter your point, if you're basing it off of an existing character, there are certain things you just have to do right. if you are going to change them, you are going to upset a lot of people. It's the same idea where, the idea of if someone, for example, we'll use the Marvel. Let's say with the Marvel one, someone who had the Captain America one, they completely changed his entire outfit to no outfit that Captain America has ever worn because they thought it would look cooler if they did this. A lot of people probably would have been very upset and been like, this is not Captain America. Why is this, like, why are you calling this Captain America? This makes no sense. It's that kind of idea where I think there are certain times where, sure, you can interpret it however you want. Like, for example, the creatures and planeswalkers that Magic has created, like Oko and Jace, like, those are open interpretation because they were created by Magic, the game, so they have the idea of they can kind of make them whatever they want. But when you're pulling from Assassin's Creed or Final Fantasy or wherever else they're pulling from, people are going to be upset if you don't do what is from that universe.
They made
Listen.
Aragorn black.
Listen, AI can do what you're saying. Just copy something. It's easy. Art is supposed to have a message. So, like, one of the things people can look up is the King Charles portrait that was done. And he's all in this red background. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we can put it up for people if we want. There were people that hated it. But that's what art does. Art, like Duncan said earlier, art reinterprets things and has a message to say. And there's interesting things in that, as opposed to, well, this is a picture from the TV show or a video game that Sephiroth is a video game, right?
Yep.
Sephiroth is in. Let's just take that picture and we'll exact copy it, and Sephiroth will be exactly the same. Or an artist can come out and reimagine Sephiroth with slightly different, and that's art. That's what art is. Art isn't copying. Art is saying something more. And Aragorn is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Right, and there are a lot of people who are upset that they did that because that's not who Aragorn was. And I agree with them. If you're going to base a design off of a character, you should make that design accurate to the character. I'm not saying that he can't have a different background or be in a different universe because clearly he's being sucked into one, i.e. Magic. But the point is that there are certain details that are important. If Captain America didn't have his shield and all of these things, or if Wolverine wouldn't have had his talent, like there is details that you just don't touch. Period. You can't adjust them and then just say, well, it's artist interpretation. They can do whatever they want. Because at the end of the day, then you're changing the actual character and who they are. It's the same reason why everyone hated that Wolverine Begins movie where his talons were bones. Because that had nothing to do with the actual history of Wolverine.
Yeah,
they just wanted to make another Wolverine movie.
No, that's
No, it is
exactly
the
how
history of
Wolverine started.
Yeah.
His
Bone
original
claws.
bone.
Before
Not in the
adamantium.
first appearance of him, but when they told his story in the comics, he had regular bone claws, and when he bonded with the adamantium, that's when he got the adamantium claws.
But no, I get what you're saying, Johnny, and there is some truth to that. There are some things that are somewhat non-negotiable, but if an artist ever comes out and just goes, well, I'm going to break all your rules, that's what artists do.
Sure.
And yeah, it's going to piss people off. It's going to get talk going. I'd rather that. I'd rather some conversation than nothing, and I might be the one pissed off. But that's what artists
when
do.
they make their Star Wars set and Luke Skywalker's a girl, we'll have this
I
conversation.
mean, I already had to deal with Luke Skywalker
they were
getting
called
ruined.
the sequels.
Yeah, they already ruined him, and I had to deal with that. So,
But
Well,
that's all I'm saying. I
yeah.
think there's certain things when it comes, if you're basing cards and certain things off of certain aspects of a character or a character that already exists in the world and has certain things about him that are like those are identifiers of that character, you should probably stay true to it. But again, it's, I guess at the end of the day, I don't run the company. It's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue, like we said, we think that art should have a right to change a little
Sure.
bit. And I'll tell you, I was there when they revealed the image. It's been years since I played Final Fantasy VII, but I'm like, that's Sephiroth. I wasn't like, that's not him.
Right, and that's the difference between someone who casually knows the game and someone who loves the game.
without spending a lot of time on this, just quick sentence. What was the difference?
There was 15 things that were wrong.
Were they just like major things, or what was a major thing?
Holster, his holster on his leg was wrong. The sword was wrong. His wing was wrong. I think his eyes were there was a bunch of things that people picked apart.
That doesn't.
were all-
Yeah,
I mean, he
that
can wear a
doesn't
different
seem.
holster. He can wear a different
Yeah,
outfit.
I don't think
the
that
wing.
seems up-
I mean, that's
I'll have to look at it more.
Yeah.
Sure, but there was a whole thing. Like the day they announced it, that's all I saw.
yeah. No,
For
I
those
know
of you out there that are upset about it, I get it. It's something you love.
Yeah.
I do get it, but maybe, it's life. Things change.
Yep. So we'll move on now to our main topic, maximizing card draw in every color.
Yeah.
So we know blue's good at drawing.
Yes.
Is it?
Annoyingly so.
It's really good at drawing. We know black is pretty good at drawing.
Yeah. I'd probably say it's the runner-up.
Yep. And then green, not too shabby. It's got a bunch of draw too.
I draw a lot of cards in green, that's
Yep.
for sure.
It's usually dependent on what your strategy is, but it's
Yeah.
there.
It definitely beats out red and white.
Red and white, tough. Red, definitely the toughest by far now. They have not spent a lot of time. They have done a little bit different. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But so we're not going to talk about too much about the blue. We'll go over some of the top ones. We'll go
Yeah.
over some you may not have known about. But we're not going to talk about the popular ones like Rhystic Study.
Right.
But we'll talk about them, but we won't go into detail. So I've broken it up into enchantments,
Mm-hmm.
instant sorceries, and creatures for each one.
Right.
So enchantments, we have for blue, Rhystic Study, Mystic Remora.
Yep.
You're not going to get any better than those two enchantments. for
Yeah, I
draw.
mean they're pretty solid. 2 and a blue. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, rather, they can pay 1. If they don't, you get to draw a card as Rhystic Study. Single blue for Mystic Remora. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell,
You
they
have to play 4,
they can
pay
pay
4.
4 to keep you from drawing.
Right.
Otherwise, you get to draw a card.
Which
Well,
no one's
like I
going to
said,
do that, but
let's
there's an
not go
upkeep
through all
cost.
these
Right.
ones because these
So,
ones people do know.
yeah,
about.
those two
And
are
we have a
the big
pretty good
baddies.
list, and we want to go into why.
Mhm.
But instants and sorceries, everybody knows Brainstorm.
Yep,
The ones people may not know, Dig Through Time. Do you use that one?
I do. That is in my ninja deck.
The nice thing about that one is it has Delve.
Right,
which lets
that's the big kicker is the delve part.
Yep, lets you reduce the cost. It's kind of an expensive card, but if you're using Delve to reduce it,
Yeah, I think it's 7 and a blue,
6 and a blue.
6 and a blue. That's what it is.
Same
Yeah.
thing with the next card. I
Yep.
mean, different, but you could also
Yeah.
reduce the
But
cost.
so Treasure Cruise has affinity for artifacts.
no,
No, it's also
no.
delve. I thought.
Yeah, Treasure Cruise, you cards in your graveyard.
Oh yeah, so it's Delve.
Yeah, it's delve also.
Okay.
They're both delve.
Yep, and that's
remember
7 and 2 blue or something. But you
Yeah,
get-
yeah. So the difference between the two is slightly different. One actually draws. The other one just lets you you get to look at like 6 and then pick 1 or 2
right.
or something
Yep.
like that.
Dig Through Time. You get
Yeah.
to. Yep. Creatures. We have Consecrated Sphinx.
Mhm.
Gross.
I mean, that is. Mwah.
Do you know I still don't own one of those?
I don't either.
Oh, I own several. They're
I
glorious.
every time I think about buying one, I'm just like, what deck do I put it in? And you could put it in any deck, but as you guys saw with my Gishath deck, I do try to have them like fit the deck. I like to theme. My
I mean, the
cards.
nice thing about that one is anytime someone else draws a card, you draw 2.
and
Yeah.
you have to draw 2,
Yes.
I believe, which
Yeah.
can be a problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that one is real nice if other people are drawing. But even on their first draw, that's 2. So if you do nothing else and you have 3 opponents, there's 6 cards you're going to get before your next turn.
Yeah, just be careful who you're playing when you play that, because if you see a Selvala or something across from you, don't play Consecrated Sphinx because you're just gonna die.
Right.
Or if you see my U3.
And then Arcanus the Omnipotent, you get to tap him, draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also
he's
real
also very expensive though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He is. But once you get him out, tap him, draw 3 cards. That's real nice.
Yeah, the only blue one I would add to this list real quick is the one I brought up. It's in my turtle deck, borrowing 100,000 arrows, which is you get to draw a card for each tapped creature target opponent controls. So that's one that kind of flies underneath the radar because it's more based on what other people are playing. But it is a good one to kind of sneak in there because if someone's playing like a token deck, and they have like 10 or 12 tokens that are tapped, that's pretty good draw. I think it's 4, 2, and a blue. So
Yeah.
Plus Blue Sun Zenith and Mind Spring,
Yeah,
which
those
we
are-
don't have to explain, but those are pretty big draw and
Yeah.
draw
yeah.
right away.
Blue
draw
Sun
big
Zenith,
enough.
real good.
Yeah.
Real good.
another good one.
But black.
Mind Spring's just one less blue, by the way.
Yeah. Yep. Black has enchantments, Phyrexian Arena.
yeah.
So this one's controversial. Some people think it's not that good. 1 and 2 black. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw 1 card, lose 1 life.
Right. So
I love it.
So and I will say at least somewhat the colors are somewhat themed. So you'll notice with a lot of the blue ones, at least the enchantments, the opponents get a chance to pay it to keep you from drawing.
Yep.
With black, a lot of it's going to be self-damage to draw.
Yep.
So I'm going to take damage
Or sacrifice.
in order to draw. So there is somewhat theming for the draw for each color, which is kind of nice. But yeah, so Phyrexian Arena, 1 black, like you said. The next one is one that I kind of play in a couple of decks. I kind of always take it in and out depending on what I'm doing. Greed, which is you can actually pay
Life.
You can pay life basically. I think it's a black and 2 life to draw a card.
Yep.
And I think it's 2 and a black to put it out.
3 and a black.
3 and a black.
Yep.
To put it out. The next one I think is probably Jeff's favorite card.
Necropotence.
Oh, it's so good.
Necropotence too.
So this isn't technically draw either, but it's draw.
No, but
Right.
you basically exile a card. You pay a life for each card you exile. So you could exile 20, 30 cards
Face down.
face down, and
And you
then
skip
at the
your
end
draw
of your
step.
turn, you get to put those cards into your hand, and then you do have to go to discard.
Right, because that's at the beginning of your end
But
step.
sometimes you could have cards that don't make you have to discard, and then you don't get to draw on your next turn or any turn while that card's out.
Well,
Right.
you can draw. You skip your draw step as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other draw you get.
Yes.
So.
But I don't think you're necessarily. Maybe you're drawing more cards than that, but it seems like that would seem
Yeah, it
like
should be
a
enough
hat
for you.
on a hat. You know.
Yeah.
Necrodominance is the new version where they kind of made it a little less broken. You have a maximum hand size of 5 as part of what that says.
Yeah, so you're losing 2 cards, but you still basically get to have.
It's
the same
also
effect.
draw, so you could die to a lot of stuff.
Right.
Um,
But the part about that too, even though it says your hand size is 5, if you later play something that says your hand size has no maximum,
It doesn't matter.
that now has no maximum. So,
right.
Instance and sorcery. So here's these have some ones in here that this one here I didn't even know about. Stinging Study. Either of you play this?
No.
I don't play it. I've heard of it and I've seen it.
Yep. 4 and a black, instant, draw X cards, and you lose X life, where X is the mana value of a commander you own on the battlefield or in the command zone. So if you're playing a high-cost commander,
Yeah, Dragon. That'd be gross because he's 9, right?
Yeah.
Dragon's 4 in Mooburg. Yeah, that'd be.
yeah,
Lose 9, draw 9.
yep. You know,
That's a pretty good. That's a
Yeah.
pretty good trade.
So
I don't
that-
think anyone's gonna
It's
say
5 mana though,
yeah, it is. But
Sure.
I mean, 5 mana for 9 cards. Thank you very
and
much.
9 life. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
I mean,
black.
That's what black does.
That's what black does, man. You got life's a resource. And
So ambitions, cost, and ancient craving are exactly the same.
Okay.
Same card, different name. They have the same cost, same effect, everything. So 3 and a black, sorcery. You draw 3 cards and lose 3 life.
it's pretty good.
Yep, not bad. And then, so there's Deadly Dispute, and there's a lot of cards like this
Yeah.
that are sorceries, or sorry, instants for 1 and a black that say as an additional cast to cost a spell, sacrifice an artifact or a creature, draw 2 cards and create a treasure token.
Yeah, so I run that one in Prosper because the reason why is if I get to cast it
Treasure.
from exile, I get 2 treasures because I'm casting from exile for Prosper trigger, and then it creates a treasure, so it literally pays for itself.
Yep.
So I get the mana back that I just spent on it. So that's a really good one. The other one that's in black that I don't see on your list here, I'll touch on real quick. It's another one I really love is Painful Truth. So it's 2 and a black instant. Draw X cards where X is the different color mana spent to cast the spell.
Yep. So if you're
So,
playing a multicolored,
As long as you're playing
especially
at least
Woober,
3, yeah. As long as you're playing at least 3 colors, you can get maximum value out of it. Even if you play 2 colors, you also lose X life. So if you use 3, you lose 3 life, draw 3 cards. So, but again, it's still a pretty good card. I put it in any deck that I have that's multicolored, at least 3 colors. So I have it in a couple of my 3-color decks.
Yep. There is also a sorcery that's similar to the Deadly Dispute that's only 1 black mana, but it's
Yeah.
at sorcery speed, and I don't think you get the treasure. Then for creatures, we have Grizzlebrand. Grizzlebrand says pay
I thought
7
was-
life, draw
is that
7
not
draw.
banned?
I believe that one is actually technically
Oh, yeah. That
But
one
if
is
you want
banned.
to cheat and you want
If
to
you
proxy
wanna cheat,
cards that
yep.
you're not allowed to use, Grizzlebrand's a great one.
The other one is Arcanus, not Arcanus, the Velis. Remember I played him?
Yeah, the one where you can pay life.
For every life you lose,
Yeah, that's what it is.
you draw a card.
Yeah.
And then he has an ability to pay 2 life, and the target creature gets -1/-1. In today's meta, though, that card is very, very dangerous because if somebody drops an Orcish Bowmaster, you are dead.
Yeah.
Because it's not a you may draw, it's a
Not
you will
just
draw.
that, you just play lands, and you're gonna do that. Like most of the lands I play cause me damage, so
Yeah,
I'm
so
drawing.
Well,
cards.
you
Any
wouldn't
of the
put those in
shots.
your deck if you were doing this, but maybe a couple just to get that effect, but you're not going to rely on those. And if that's
I
your
mean, I
commander, it's
would. I'd
single
put
black.
every single one of those in that deck.
Every shock land.
Yeah, Well, I don't think you could put shock lands, but you could put the sack lands.
You can put shock lands in. Oh no, not shock.
No.
You can put fetch lands in it.
Yeah, fetch lands are
ones
the
that
only
pay
ones you
one
could do.
life, go get one, yeah.
And there's other lands too that I think deal you damage. So
Harvester of the Souls is just it's like the green one. It's like almost the exact same thing.
Except it's when a creature dies.
Yeah, so soul.
When any
yeah.
creature dies, doesn't matter where it is. you draw a
Non-token,
card.
as long as it's a non-token creature
Non-token
dies,
creature dies.
you
Draw a
get to
card.
draw a card.
So that can be pretty good,
Yeah.
especially in
he's
black.
a little expensive at 4 black, I think, if I remember correctly. So I think he's a 6-drop. But again, if you even get to draw a couple times off of him, like a board wipe when you got him out's great. So
So green. We'll move on to green enchantments. You have Sylvan Library.
yeah,
That one.
classic.
Yep. You know, at the beginning of your upkeep, you're going to draw 2 additional, but you got to pay if you want to keep those.
Yeah, I
Otherwise,
think
you
it's
can put them
4
back
per
in.
card.
yeah,
you
it's
draw
super
Pay life.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can put them back in any order. So even if you're just using it to do that,
to scry.
yeah, you get to pick which of the 3, put the other 2 back any way you want. I mean, it's a brainstorm for free.
Yeah, I
every
play
turn.
it just because it's a classic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's really good.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Well, and if you put it with certain other cards, it gets a lot better too.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And the wording is very confusing. So you
well,
play
the
that
newer
card
ones
and-
aren't.
Yeah, the newer ones they fixed, but the one that Jeff got, which was one of the older ones, because it was before they started doing all these reprints, it's very confusing wording.
Yeah. So look up the errata if you
Yeah,
have
if you're gonna play.
Garruk's Uprising. Jeff, you play that one a
Yep.
lot.
Yeah, another
love that.
classic green one.
That's great.
The only one on this list I don't play is Up the Beanstalk.
Yeah, so Up the Beanstalk, I didn't think you did. So this one I had ready. It's 1 and a green enchantment. When Up the Beanstalk enters the battlefield, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, draw a card. So if you're playing real
I just don't
big
know how
spell
good
card-
it is. I don't think it's as good as the others.
No, because it is 5 mana, but you're only paying 2 to get it out. And if you're playing that type of deck,
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing like elementals, are a lot of times are like usually 4 and then a color. You know, there's a lot of elemental decks where they're 4 and a color. I mean, dinosaurs are really expensive,
Yep.
so a lot of your dinosaurs that you're gonna play are gonna get
This
that.
would be great in
Dragons are
Dragon.
expensive.
Yeah.
Dragons are expensive because it doesn't care if you cheat them out as long as they're being right, as long as they're being
whenever you cast a spell.
yeah. So as long as it's being cast, so if you're reducing the cost by 3 or 4 like you do with your dragon, it doesn't matter because it cares about the actual CMC. So
Yeah, I mean Luke might like this in his deck, although he plays a lot of lower cost stuff to get the bigger cost stuff out,
Correct.
like Elvish Piper and
Yeah.
stuff.
And sometimes he plays stuff to get out and then taps them to have them enter.
And just real quick too, we did our preview of Aether Drift last week, but after we recorded it, they released the new Elvish Piper, the legendary creature that's even better than Elvish Piper.
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah.
Yep, that's Up the Beanstalk. And Greater Good, you can sack a creature,
Greater Good's insane.
and draw cards equal
Because
to
Greater Good just stays on the board. You can
Yep.
keep doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
It's you draw cards equal to its power. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's power.
But
So-
I
you
think
just
pay
keep
a green
doing
and
it. It's
sack,
nuts.
yeah, because you just pay
Yeah.
a green and sack.
You don't have to pay a green.
I thought
It's
it was
just, I believe it's just out on the battlefield.
no, I think it is just you sack it.
okay.
Yep. Instants and sorceries. So Momentous Fall. This was one I wasn't familiar with. How about you guys?
Never.
I
heard
play
of it.
this.
Do you?
Yep. And Life's Legacy.
Okay, so as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature. So similar to black in that respect.
Yep.
But it's kind of like Greater Good. You draw cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power.
Yep.
Then you gain life equal to its toughness.
For Life's Legacy.
Mount Momentous Fall.
Okay.
Momentous Fall.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Life's
And what's the
Legacy is very
CMC on that one?
That one is 2 and 2 green.
Okay, so 4
It's an
total.
instant though. For instance,
Oh, okay, yeah.
for the sorcery, it's 1 and a green. As an additional, this is Life's Legacy. As an additional cost, to cast, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power. So
Gotcha.
you don't gain the life, but it only costs 2. Sorcery
And
speed.
you have to do it on your turn.
It's
so-
crazy good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's still really good.
Because it's like you play out these big creatures, you get to the turn where you're coming up to that board wipe, and you're like, I know someone's gonna board this board wipe territory. I'm just gonna go ahead. Well, if you have Greater Good, you can do it whenever you want. But these cards are sorcery, so it's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this now, and yeah, I'm losing my 9 power creature, drawing 9 cards. It's like that's
Right.
an easy trade.
Yeah, it's hard to debate that for sure.
Yep.
But bringing up the rear with the creatures, Soul of Harvest, which is the green version of Harvester of Souls.
But it cares about when creatures
Right.
come in, not when they
So
die.
the green version cares about when they enter, as long as they're non-token. The black one cares about when they die as long as they're non-token. So you have both sides of that coin, and then you have Beast Whisper, which is also another green classic. Whenever a creature enters, draw cards.
Yep.
Under your control.
Under your control.
Right.
Yep.
White. So white has gotten a lot better in recent years. They've
Has.
definitely worked on it.
Over, yeah.
So the 2 enchantments both are newer cards.
Yeah.
Trouble in Pairs, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, you draw whenever they attack you with 2 or more creatures. Whenever they draw their second, cast their
Basically,
second
whenever
spell.
they do anything.
Well, whenever they cast their second spell in a turn, and whenever they draw their second card in a turn.
Yeah.
Smuggler's Share is an at your end step, kind of similar. If they drew 2 or more cards, you get to draw a card. It also can make you treasures if they dropped lands. So, those are both pretty good. Instants and sorcery. So we have Scout's Warning. This is not one I knew about. But I thought this was pretty cool because it's not great card draw, but it's card draw for a single mana, and it gives you another really good ability. And that is, so this is Scout's Warning, a single white, instant. The next creature card you play this turn can be played as though it had flash. If it had that alone, that's a great card.
Yeah.
I did not know white could do that, so that's news to me.
Yeah. Not a lot of it, but they
But
can.
then you also draw a card.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's real good.
Pretty good.
Also, don't forget there's some stuff like Secret Rendezvous. You and target opponent each draw 3 cards. So it seems like it's bad, but you can use it really well because sometimes you have someone winning the game, you have someone in last place, you draw the 3, and the person in last place draw the 3, and now you have more resources to deal with the threat.
Yeah.
Now, I will say for the most part, with one exception, I did not put cards in here where you both draw.
Yeah.
There for the creatures, there's also the legendary creature. I can't remember when she comes in. You blow something up, an artifact or an enchantment, and then you tap her. You and an opponent each draw a card. It's good.
Yeah.
But some people really don't like that because, yes, in Jeff's instance, that's great. But all things being equal, you don't want to get. If you're all on the same
Correct.
playing field, you're giving you and somebody else at the table a bump.
Well, that's the awesome thing about making friends, influencing people, man.
I mean, it
Give
can be.
someone 3 cards, all of a sudden they're your buddy.
Just don't give them to Andrew. Don't do
Don't
it, people.
give 'em to
Don't listen
Andrew.
to the silky smoothness of his voice.
I'll be honest, don't give them to me either because I'm probably
Yeah,
gonna
that
kill
is true.
everybody.
Don't give him to Johnny. He'll still attack you.
Yeah, I'll kill everybody still. I'll be like, thanks for the gift. Here's 25 damage to your face.
Yeah. And
Thank you, card.
that's why I killed Johnny first.
The other card I
So I
have on
can't
here
control him.
is Reprieve
Reprieve.
because
What a card.
That's
it's a great card.
No,
What a
that's
card.
just you doing this.
No.
Yes.
What a card.
Reprieve is return target spell to its owner's hand.
Draw a card.
So good. And then also, well, you have a card.
This is
Just draw a
only
card.
in there because you love counterspells.
No, this is in there because this was on several lists as one of the top draw
This
spells.
is not a card draw spell.
It,
Yeah, it draws you.
No,
it
it's not.
replenishes
it,
itself.
it draws you a card.
There would
And
be
it
a
stops the
1,000 more
spell.
cards on this list if we're talking about this. This is just a cantrip.
It's such a great card.
But it's such a good effect. And then just gravy on top, you get a card.
Yeah.
But creatures, we have Mangara the Diplomat, who has similar effect to Trouble in Pairs or Smuggler's Share.
Yeah.
And Esper Sentinel. I think Esper Sentinel for sure is the #1 card draw in white.
for white hands.
I think it might be Trouble in Pairs and then Esper
I
Sentinel.
don't know. Esper Sentinel, it's hard to get around because the one thing about Esper Sentinel that kind of lulls people into forgetting you have it, it's the fact that it's only the first time you do it. So a lot of people are just like, oh, just draw a card, I don't care. And so with that mentality, people kind of just forget, and it just gets worse and
Also,
worse
if
and
you
worse.
pump him up, they have to pay more. That's what
Yeah.
people forget.
Yeah.
And that's
so-
why he's in my human deck
And
because
that's
he's
why he's in
nuts
my
in there.
soldier
Yeah.
deck.
Yeah.
No. You don't have to pay 1. You have to pay 5.
No, 100%.
5, that's adorable. Mine was up to 12.
Yeah. Nobody is paying 12, I guarantee you.
Mine
Well,
had
at
12,
that point,
12
if my Esper Sentinel is at 12, you're already dead.
Yeah, it's in my soldier
I don't
deck,
need to
my-
really be drawing cards at
my
that
Colonel
point because
Mustard.
y'all are gone.
Yeah.
All right, so red. Red is definitely the weakest in draw. And the way they've made up for it is with cards that don't draw. They exile cards from your library,
Right.
and then you can play them.
Well,
later.
and they have some really good wheels too.
And wheels. So that was one thing I was going to say. I didn't put them on this list.
Yeah.
Because
but
again,
wheels,
everyone's drawing.
Yeah.
I put one of them on this list just because Reforge the Soul. So we'll get there. Enchantments. Artist Talent. This is another one that I don't think people play, but it's pretty good.
Never heard of it.
When you cast a non-creature spell, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So it's
not
always
bad.
there for you to use if you want it. It's that rummage effect,
Yeah.
you know.
And that is a
That is an enchantment class.
okay. So that came on the D&D set then.
No, this was the talents came out in Bloomborough.
Bloomborough.
Yep.
Okay.
1 in a red, and it does have other powers, but they're not relevant to this. For 2 in a red. Now also your non-creature spells you cast cost 1 less. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then
Not bad.
if you play an additional 2 in a red, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage, non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. So again, other effects if you want them,
Man, that's not bad.
but for just 1 in a red, you do have that draw. available.
All of these suck.
Yeah,
The
they're
only
not
thing
good.
the only thing you're gonna do in red is use artifacts.
So the next one is Virtue of Courage. This one is Exile. This is another Exile one, not a. So this is 3 and 2 red for the enchantment. It has an adventure which does not apply, so I'm not going to read it.
Yep.
But whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you may exile that many cards from the top of your library. You may play those cards this turn.
Pretty
I mean,
good.
Pretty good and Prosper.
Yeah, I mean that'd be again. That's another banger and prosper. I mean, so I will say this: with red being exile a bunch of stuff, and then you can play it until end of turn or until the end of your next turn. That is very reddish. Like that's a very red thing to do, which is I don't care. I'm just gonna keep going. Like
Yeah.
and so it is very on theme with how red does want. If I were to say how would red draw, like that would be the way.
Yeah.
It's either all or nothing. I'm just gonna keep exiling. Oh, found it. I win.
The way red draws is by using artifacts.
So
Then instants and sorcery. Sazcap's Brew. 1 in a red for an instant. You have the ability to gift a tapped fish. As an additional cost
actually-
to cast a spell, discard a card. Okay.
You cast that, didn't you? You did something that gave someone a fish.
No, I have a blue card that does that.
give him a fish.
Yeah, who cares? Give him a tapped fish.
Then
That's
you have
the
to
new
go up
bird-
and give him a
By the way,
fish.
tapped fish are the new birds. Target player
Make
Dra-
a fish deck.
Target player draws 2 cards. If the gift was promised, target creature you control gets +2/+1 until end of turn. I'm not giving you a fish for 2-0, but I'll draw the 2 cards.
Yeah, I'll discard a card and draw two.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a faithless looting or a what's the other one? Tormenting voice. All very similar. Discard
Or
and draw two.
electronic revolution.
There you go.
2 in a red as additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. This one has flashback for 3 in a red.
Yep.
But there's a bunch of them that do a similar thing.
Yeah.
Another one was Into the Fire. It's 2 in a red sorcery. Choose one. The only one here I care about is for this instance is put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. So it's like a just you wheel with 1 additional card.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not bad. The other one is just so you know, because modal cards are great if they do 2 things. Maybe you want to do one, maybe you want to do the other. The other thing is Into the Fire deals 2 damage to each creature, planeswalker, and battle, not or.
Yeah.
So not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Not good.
Reforge the Soul though. This is the
Jeff
one.
doesn't like red apparently.
Yeah, he's
No,
very
you just
negative.
gotta use artifacts.
What artifacts?
Yeah.
How many artifacts are you running in your deck that
Well,
can be blown up by Vandal Blast?
well, yes, that is a problem. But that's if you want card draw, it's kind of what you have to do.
I mean, I play Prosper and I get through 30, 40 cards a game without any artifacts. I think I'm doing okay.
But here's
Prosper is more than one color, though, isn't he? He's not just red.
Almost every single card I use to draw is red.
What colors is he?
He's
Though?
red and black. I don't use
Okay.
any black to draw though.
But
it's all red.
Other people could.
Sure. But
Mask
it's all
of
red.
Memory is what I use to draw. Memory Jar I use to draw.
So non-red
Uh,
cards.
yeah,
yeah,
we're
I'm
talking about
saying
how to
color.
do it
Talking
in
about
color.
Specifically
The
you
whole
can't.
point of
They're
this
terrible.
episode is how to do it in color.
It's a useless discussion.
He didn't
No.
No, I know what it is. I'm just telling you. It's frustrating. There's nothing in red.
We just listed a
They're
bunch.
not good.
They're all a big score, unexpected windfall.
We
two
haven't gotten
great.
that far because he won't let me.
I know.
Reforge the Soul is the one wheel I put in here. Any wheel is good, but this one here, 3 and 2 red. Each player discards their hand, then draws 7 cards. This is a sorcery, but it has miracle cost for 1 in a red.
Yeah.
You draw that card, boom. one
The
in a
wheels are good.
red. Yep.
Yeah.
But wheels are good, especially this wheel. You pay
Yeah.
1 in a red to wheel, that is
Yeah.
fantastic.
The red wheels are very good.
Valakut Awakening is very similar to the other one I said. Put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many +1. It's 2 in a red for an instant.
Yeah. Big Score and Unexpected Windfall are both really solid, especially because they give you back 2 treasures. Both of them do. So you pay 4, but you get 2 treasures back. So you really, in reality, only pay 2.
Yep. And you have to discard a card.
Discard a card.
But you get 2 cards and 2 treasures.
Right.
Difference between Big Score and the other one, Big Score is 3 in a red. The other one is Unexpected Windfall is 2 and 2 red.
Right.
They're both 4. It's just how you pay.
Yeah.
The other thing you got going in red is you might be playing tempo aggro, so you maybe don't need to draw as many cards.
Well, the other thing too that red does really well, which is unrelated but somewhat related, is copying spells. So all of these ones where you have to pay, once the pay has already happened, if you copy it, you don't have to pay again. You just get this spell.
Yep.
So Calamax, I'll do Unexpected Windfall and I'll get 8 treasures and 8
Well, that's why
copies
you
of it.
use the red draw instead of the black
also,
draw in Prosper, because you have ways to copy those spells.
Exactly.
Fork other people's good spells. So like
Fork
red.
you.
That's
So-
so close to getting us flagged.
Fork.
Don't do
I can't
you're,
go.
you're laughing.
Fork other people's
Okay,
spells.
there you go.
And that's what you do. So someone plays a good card draw spell, like in blue or one of the other colors, and you just also get it.
This guy.
That's what you should do.
This guy.
Play other people's cards.
For creatures, we have Humble Defector.
Wait, hold on. Didn't you just complain about the meta going?
No, because
towards
you don't
play?
take them. Because you don't take them. You just get their effect, and they get to keep their card. That's an acceptable way
It's
to
an
do
accepable way to play
Yeah.
other people's cards.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
actually playing
The
them.
You don't touch
hypocrisy is
them.
real.
Yeah, I know. It's real thick today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creatures, you have Humble Defector, 1
Yep.
in a red. Tap, draw 2 cards. Target opponent gains control of Humble Defector. Activate only during your turn. I don't love the card because you give it away.
It's terrible.
But if you have a way to kill it, or you're like, you know what, I don't care because you're about to die, or you have Homeward Path.
Homeward Path would be good.
Yep.
Yeah, the other
That's the
way.
only
Yeah,
way I play
if
this.
you can gain control back of it, so
And
you can
Red
keep
has a
it.
ton of stuff that does
Yeah,
that.
they do. They have a lot of stuff that
Yep.
does that.
Yeah.
Um,
So do colorless artifacts.
This one I do like. I think this is a good card draw in red. Ashling Flame Dancer. 2 and 2 red. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. That's good.
That's really good in
Yeah.
red.
Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, discard a card, then draw a card. So every time.
But that's not really draw. That's the thing with
That's
red
what
too.
red does. That is
But
red.
you
I
have
know,
to
it's not
understand
draw,
the way that each color draws is based kind of off of their own way of doing it. So red is chaos.
Okay, so red's
the
way of
they're
doing
gonna
it is
draw
not
they're
to
going to
do it.
discard or going to exile it, and then they're going to be able to play it. But a lot of their spells are a lot cheaper than other people's spells to try to draw. Like, what is it? The green one that you had on there, Harmonize, is 2 green.
Yeah, don't play Harmonize.
There's spells in here that literally cost the same amount, but they give you back 2 mana. And
Yeah.
So like it's just there's different ways of doing it, and Red's way of doing it is being chaotic.
Right.
I mean, even their counters are chaotic.
I would be okay with that. I'd be okay if it was like, I don't know how to. I can't create a card right off the top of my head, but
You
at least
hate
draw
chaos,
cards better.
so I don't trust you to pick a chaos.
Oh, here you go. Pay 1 red, flip a coin. If you win, you get to draw a card. If you lose, nothing happens.
All right,
There-
I'd be okay
so
with
there
that.
there is a red like that called Winter Sky.
There
Yeah.
you go.
If you and it's great because I
You
believe
made it come true.
I believe the
that
way
good.
that's worded is if you win the flip, you draw 3 cards or something, and if you lose the flip, everybody draws a card.
There's
So
another
either way,
one.
you get to draw.
Yeah.
That would be good. I'd be cool with that card. Maybe that's card draw. I don't know how much it costs, but a lot of this is not card draw. And this
But-
is terrible. Play another color. Use artifacts.
Al
I don't
wasn't
know
done
what
with
to
the
tell
card.
Let him
Go ahead.
finish the cards.
If
He's
this
got
is
one
the
more.
second time this ability has resolved this turn, Ashling Flame Dancer deals 2 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. If it's the third time, add 4 red mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a great single target removal card.
How is it single target when it's
Well,
each
not single
opponent
target,
and each
many
creature.
targets, many single targets. Because you're doing 2 to the creature. It's not going to kill everything. It's not going to necessarily
a lot of
blow
your
away, but
tokens. though, it
single
will
mass
cancel them out.
target?
You know, a
yeah,
lot of
single
your-
mass
a lot of
target.
your
There you
mana
go.
dwarfs.
Thank you, Duncan.
Yeah. We're just making up terms, making up cards, and then just appearing.
And then just gonna love Rummaging Goblin.
Oh my gosh, I'm
his
sure this is going
favorite.
to be garbage.
Yep, 2 in a red. Tap it, discard a card to draw a card.
There you go.
Again, not draw.
So
Let's not draw.
you will notice with red, I did not put in there one of the most popular red draw spells, which is Faithless Looting. And Faithless Looting will come back up in an episode or two. I want to do the most overrated cards in Commander, and I think that's up there.
Oh, I was just gonna say I like Faithless Looting.
See, you're such a bad red player. You don't know what you're talking about.
I'm
Jeff,
gonna look it up because I think I do.
It's a
If you
dis-
like that and
and
you
you
don't
don't
like
like-
the ones we did, the only difference is that
I
costs
know.
a single
I know.
red mana. But I think it's a sorcery.
and I think you have to discard first before you
Yeah.
draw.
Oh no, it's draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, and the reason why I like it is you pay 1 red to be able to do that. It's not drawing, by the way, because you're just changing your cards.
It's rummaging.
And then it has flashback, which is also good.
Mine had flashback, and you get more cards than you actually
I mean,
discard.
none of them are good. They just I play that
Mine
one
was
every once in a
better,
while.
and you play that one, and you were scoffing at mine.
Jeez. This shows
So,
off.
I'm just-
anyway,
I'm just an old guy that likes
yeah,
old
yeah.
cards.
Get off my lawn and don't play those red draw cards.
Yeah, you should not play most of these cards, but yeah. Unless you,
You
have
play
someone...
the worst one of all of them.
What?
and you think it's good?
I don't think it's good. I just have it in a deck.
I don't think it's good. I just put it in my deck.
I think I have it because it's. I have the Japanese.
You have it
version.
because it was on the net deck that you built.
No, I've never done that. I have it because I have that one. which
Yeah, the
looks really
Japanese
cool.
art is very
The
good.
Japanese art looks really cool, so that's probably why it's in the deck.
But the other thing we were going to talk about is Jeff pointed out. Now, this is, you got to remember, Jeff will handicap himself to be on theme.
Right.
So what he was saying is there are ways to draw in theme, different themes for different draw styles.
right. Do you want me to go over some of those?
Yeah.
So like Gadwick the Wizened. What a dumb name. X and 3 blue. This guy, don't play him just because of the name. Oh my gosh. But when he enters the battlefield, draw X cards. So in an X spell deck, that's going to be great. Hydroid Crisis in an X spell deck, amazing. Blue Sun Zenith, I will argue it's good no matter what deck you play it in. Humans, we talked about Mangara and Esper Sentinel, but in an attacking deck, play Mask of Memory, which isn't colored, but it still works in an attacking deck. And Dinosaurs, Curious Altasar. Whenever a dinosaur you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Earthshaker Drodmaw, draw a card for each dinosaur you control. Elves, or actually +1/+1 counters, or elves, whichever one. When Armorcraft Judge enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. And then, like, if you're playing Animar or something that you just want to keep the draw train going, you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever you cast a spell, draw 2 cards. At the beginning of your end step, discard your hand.
That's a
Psalm
garbage
of
card.
Creation.
That is a garbage card. I'm going
It
to
is-
scoff at your card.
It
now.
is absolutely a garbage card unless you're in the right deck. And in Animar, you just keep chaining it together because all your cards are basically free. Any decks you're playing where it's draw go, Cryptic Command, Sublime Epiphany, those are cards that get ignored a lot. They're not good in normal decks, but if you're playing draw go, they can be very good. And then in morph decks, there's one called a Fedo Rune Caster. 3 and a blue. Whenever a creature is turned face up, you may draw a card. Obviously, in a morph deck, that's going to happen a lot. So just look at your deck and kind of fit the theme of it. You can always add 1 ring to draw more cards, but just be inventive. Do something that fits the theme, and it's more fun.
Yeah. I mean,
And it will
Just don't
synergize.
proxy it, whatever you do.
yeah.
If it's not that
By the way, he's
expensive,
going to
proxy
hate
it.
my zombie deck because I got all proxy basics.
Oh no,
because-
I'm fine with that.
Because they're zombie basics.
No, I like that. That is
I was like,
really
this
good.
is cool. I spent like $36
No, I'm all
on my
for
lands.
that.
My
I'm just
basic lands.
And it's just, it got out of control. It was too much. It was like every single card I'm seeing is so expensive. And I'm like, is that the power level we want to play? It was more about power level, I think, than probably proxy. Maybe that's the issue. Is like, this is wild.
Yeah, but it didn't matter in the end.
No, but it still makes a difference.
But so that's the colors in their card draw. And if you listen to Jeff, red has none. Avoid it at all costs.
No, play red. Just use artifacts. Don't play this crap.
It's so bad.
Unless you're playing me, and then play all of this.
Yeah. But anyway, so did you have pro tips this week?
I did, but we're going a little long, and I want to hit the contest again, so I'll save it for next week.
Okay. All right. So contest reminder, we are running a contest to get to 50 YouTube subscribers. And I will tell you, we've gone up fast.
Yeah,
We gained 7 in 24 hours.
Yeah, I checked the other day when I uploaded the video for those who watched it. Thank you of the pack opening for Innistrad Remastered, and I think when I checked, that was on Saturday. I think we just hit up to 25, and like you said, some of them were from the last 24 hours.
Yep.
So thank you guys for making the push. We have a couple more weeks. I think the 28th of March.
Yep. So 2 months. So we should get there easily.
Yeah,
And-
if we keep this pace, we got it.
And our content's able to be watched and seen now, and it doesn't make you want to cry when you're listening. So
Well,
that's good
only
too.
when Jeff speaks.
Oh, that's true.
So we got it down. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah.
You know, that's almost passing.
Yeah. So
You can't win them all.
I mean, it's a D. D passes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some states.
So, but we are giving away the Marvel Secret Lair foil edition sealed, all the cards.
Right.
So
Big
That's-
prize.
All
A
of them.
crazy good
Yep.
prize.
That's from my own personal. The 2 I got, one of
Right.
them was this. So
Yeah, so you're actually taking stuff from Duncan. So
yeah.
that's an
So
extra
that's a
win.
bonus. You
Yeah.
should want this. We are also have a backpack as a second place prize and a crossbody bag, both with our logo. So all you got to do is email us, cast@commanderspod.com. In the subject of the email, put contest, and then the body, put where you subscribe to us and what your handle is. For each place you're subscribed, you get an entry. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you automatically get 3 entries.
Yep.
But if you have other places you subscribe to us, then
Yeah, tell us so you get
Email
more
us.
entries.
Yep.
so that's more entries.
Yep. So
But if you are Patreon, you don't even have to do anything. You automatically get 3 entries. So like you said, till March 28th.
right.
So give me those emails.
Yeah, absolutely. And besides the contest, let us know too any content you want to do. You know, if you want us to build a deck for you, maybe if you have a commander you're having struggles with, let us know. We'll be more than happy to do that. If you want to dig into one of our personal libraries again of decks that we have, we did.
I don't have very many. I only have about 100.
Duncan, yeah,
Yeah.
Duncan has a
Guys,
problem.
tell your wives, tell your sisters, tell your mothers. We're getting everybody to join up in here.
Yeah. And don't forget to share it with your friends too. Like I said, we already got 7 in 24 hours for YouTube, and it is required for us to be at least 50 in order to give away the Marvel. On
But
YouTube.
I don't see a problem.
Right now
gaining-
we're way above pace to do that. So thank you guys again for that. We appreciate it.
Yep. Share it out there, because the sooner we get to 50, the more you'll be secure in that we can give that one away. And if we hit 50 quickly, I will add some other good prizes.
There you go.
One of the things I'm thinking about adding is I have one of the Modern Horizons 3 collector decks
Oh.
sealed. So
There
I'm
you
thinking
go.
about giving away one of those too. So
Maybe
let's get
when
there.
we get to 100.
Maybe when I would set a stretch goal. Maybe
Yeah, another
100.
stretch goal. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So anyway, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. You can always email us, as we said, cast@commanderspod.com. Support us on patreon.com/commanderspod. Check out our website, commanderspod.com. And don't forget, kill Andrew first.
Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains, new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan guide the way in the world of EDH we play. So tune in, friends, let's fly and go. The Commander's Pod, the love will show. From our decks to yours, we share the spark in this world of magic. We'll leave our